and welcome back to the Golf Ireland podcast. I am Stephen Murphy, your co-host. I'm on my own today. Unfortunately, Valerie Wheeler, my other co-host, can't be here today. But we have another fantastic episode for you this week. We hope you're all doing well. We hope you're all getting plenty of golf in. We are right in the thick of golfing season here in Ireland, and we hope you're getting out and playing some great golf and enjoying it more than anything else. This week we have a great guest. We have the chairperson of Lahinch Golf Club, John Gleeson, joining me for a chat ahead of the ongoing South of Ireland Championship. We talk about the Arnold Palmer Cup and, of course, the Walker Cup coming to Lahinch in 2026. John is a fantastic storyteller, very, very knowledgeable in the game, played to a high level himself, and the perfect person to sort of lead Lahinch through this very, very busy time. And yeah, just a fantastic conversation with him. After I chat to John, obviously we'll have the news update as well from all the topics around Golf Ireland at the moment. As the news section is always bumper this year, which is fantastic because it means there's plenty of golf ongoing. But yeah, I will not delay the conversation with John anymore. We hope you enjoy it, and we will see you in a bit. I am now delighted to be joined by the chairperson of Lahinch Golf Club. John Gleeson joins us here on the Golf Ireland podcast. John, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to join us here in the Golf Ireland pod. How are you?
Great, Stephen. Delighted to talk to you from a very nice, balmy Lahinch as the south of Ireland gets underway.
Yes, I know. I was down there last year for the final day, and it was some of the worst conditions I've ever had to stand in. Never mind, I don't know how the lads played golf in it, but how's the forecast looking for the next coming couple of days?
Forecast not too bad. Today's a beautiful day, very little wind, balmy. We're going to have a mixture, but certainly nothing like last year, which was in history, and it was every single day was the same. It was incredible that the championship got finished. But this year, no, the weather it's a little mixed. We're going to have a few showers, but nothing of any magnitude. And I think it'll make it a really good seaside test, a proper test. We'll have a bit of wind, we'll have a few showers, we'll have a bit of sunshine, as you can often get. You'll get all the seasons every day in Lahinch. But no, we're set fair for a good championship.
Exactly. You couldn't have a South of Ireland champion without a few testing conditions. So that's what we're looking for. Before we get stuck into the Hinch and the golf course, John, I want to talk a bit about your career in golf, your relationship with golf. I don't think anyone ends up working in the golf industry without having some sort of a golf addiction or at least an interest. So tell us about your relationship with golf.
Well, I've been an avid golfer all my life. I was a half decent, I would only describe it, championship player. I think I maybe played in 10 Souths. I'm originally from Burren, County Offaly, and started golf there with Bobby Brown, the famous Bobby Brown from Laytown, Bettystown, was the pro in Burr when I was young and kind of got started. And I didn't play that much till just before going to UCD, and I played for the first team in college, and that I suppose kind of really got me going. I After UCD, I went to the UK for 4 years and came back in 1980. And as I was living on the south side of Dublin, I joined Milltown, where I played a lot of golf and a lot of senior cups and Barton Shields, and we managed to win a Leinster Barton Shield in 1988, which was the first for Milltown. As I say, I played a lot of championship golf with no great success other than I did reach the last 16 of the South in 1985, which wasn't too bad. Yeah, I've been around golf all my life. I'm a busy businessman. I'm still a busy businessman, but I've been centrally involved in golf. I was captain of Milltown in 2015, and I was, I suppose, centre stage with Paul McGinley in bringing who was an old friend of mine, who, when we won the Barton Shield in 1988, it was Milltown v Grange in the Leinster final, and Jody Flanagan and myself played Paul and Brian Shaw, who is now, of course, the director of golf in Doonbeg, just down the road. So that's a kind of a bit of old history. And then Paul, who I'm friendly with, rang me to discuss the possibility of bringing the Irish Open to Lahinch when he had become the host back for 2019. And this conversation took place at the end of 2017. And we managed to secure the Irish Open. I was asked to be the chairman of the championship committee and worked very closely with Paul and with the European Tour, Keith Pelly and Simon Ellis. And I suppose it was a somewhat sea change for Lahinch, because Lahinch is synonymous with amateur golf. It had never had a major Irish Open or a major tournament. It had a couple of smaller Irish internal match plays, the last one won by Christie Jr. But it was somewhat transformational in pushing Lahinch to the very forefront. I think not just because it was an Irish Open, but it was widely regarded as hugely successful. Paul did an amazing job, an amazing field. We got John Ram as the winner. So that was a very exciting time for Lahinch and for me personally. And then subsequently, the club asked me, would I become chairman? This is my third year as chairman of the club. Our system here is that we have a very active council, and the chairman is in charge of the council. And the council kind of run the club under the chairman, and the captains, the lady captain and the captain, and they represent the club. So chairmanship is 3 years. This is my third year, whereas captaincy is simply 1 year. So it's a system I think a lot of clubs have embraced now, and it works very well. We also have a very well-known general manager in Paddy Keane, who does a marvellous job. And of course, the South of Ireland committee is headed up by Pádraig McInerney, well known in the golf world, a former West of Ireland champion and a native of Lahinch. So the South, I think it's fair to say, is it's the oldest provincial championship, but it's a title much sought after. I mean, every good player would love to win a South, and hence every year, and again this year, we get great fields, we get great players, and usually the cream comes to the top. Not always, you get the odd surprise winner, but in the last 4 or 5 years, we really hadn't had surprise winners, and so we're set fair for another hopefully great South of Ireland championship.
Yeah, that's absolutely brilliant. You're definitely a golf addiction like the rest of us as well, and an incredible history there, John. One thing I wanted to bring up there is you said yourself you've experienced playing at that level. People involved with the South have experience of playing top quality amateur golf. How important do you think that is to have people involved who know what the players are going through, who know what the players are looking for, and do you think that translates then to a great competition?
Yeah, I think it is very, very important that the people who are involved in running the event have a history of, you don't necessarily have to have been a very good player. You don't necessarily have to be a championship player, but it certainly helps that you really understand the nuances of what's going on, what the players are feeling, how they approach it, all the difficulties that arise, whether it's in stroke play qualifying, in match plays and everything else. And Pádraig McInerney, as I said, former winner of the West, he's been centrally involved for about the last 15 years. And all championships ebb and flow. And there were some years back when he was starting where the South maybe wasn't as valued as it should have been or as it is now. And a lot of his work and the work of Paddy Keane, our general manager, who's he was center stage for the Irish Open and did an incredible job. So I suppose it's fair to say we kind of know what we're doing in Lahinch. That doesn't mean that everybody else who are on championships don't run them very well. You know, our friends up in Ross's with the West or Baltray for the East. But we think here in Lahinch we have a really good handle. We appreciate the players in particular. We do everything possible to make sure their life is comfortable any way we can help. We really value the players because the players at the end of the day make the tournament. And I think the players appreciate the lengths that we go in Lahinch to ensure that they're comfortable and they can play their best golf and end up with a worthy winner at the end of a great week.
Absolutely. Let's talk about links golf and Lahinch in particular. We just watched the Open there last week, and it is a test like no other in professional golf. What comes to mind is Shane Lowry on the Saturday hitting a driver into a par three. That's just, unheard of in modern golf with the distances they hit it. What is it about links golf in particular, especially, last year in the conditions we mentioned that it is a test like no other in professional golf and amateur golf these days?
Yeah, I think that was very clear in the Open, where some commentators said, they're sick of sanitized golf. It's like players throwing darts, endless birdies. Whereas when you get to a links course, now if you get a links course that you don't have wind, a links course, it's very hard to defend it. There are only two ways of really defending courses against top class, particularly professional players. One is the firmness of the greens, and the second one is the conditions. And players don't particularly mind rain. They're used to that. They can play in rain. They've got caddies. They've got all the gear, 10 clubs, 10 gloves in the bag, and all of that. But the wind factor, particularly if you combine it with rain, makes it very difficult. We've just had the Palmer Cup here for the first time, which is it's American colleges against the rest of the world colleges. And an incredible field, a lot of Americans who had never seen links golf. We had 8 of the top 10 men in the world. We had 4 of the top 10 girls in the world. And they were experiencing links golf for the first time. And as can often happen in Lahinch, they got, the first 2 days of the tournament, they got everything in each day. They got wind, rain, sunshine, everything Seaside can throw at them, they got, and they absolutely loved it. Now, then it so happened on Sunday for the singles, they got it pretty much flat calm, and there were birdies everywhere. But as you mentioned, Shane Lowry hitting a driver into a par 3, and on the last day, they're hitting 6 irons, and some of them hitting 7 irons. But that's the beauty of links golf. The great Tom Watson, who won 5 Open Championships, Tom Watson always said, it's the purest form of golf. When he started out, he didn't like it because it's unpredictable. But I think it is the purest form of golf. It's recognized as such. And it certainly heightens the challenge and I think the interest for spectators.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of the first 2 times people play it, they obviously don't. I think they don't tend to like it because they probably get embarrassed by some of the results, and then it's the cogs start to turn. But yeah, you mentioned the Arnold Palmer Cup, a fantastic event. You must have been super proud of that and the whole team of how that week went.
Yeah, we were always put our best foot forward in Lahinch for whatever tournament we have, and having so many young great players. As I said, 8 of the top 10 men, 4 of the top 10 women. Gordon Sargent, world number 1, an amazing player. He was the longest hitter in the US Open, for which he was one of 5 guys who played in the US Open, 10 yards longer than DeChambeau. So to see these guys, up close and personal, because amateur tournaments, there's no ropes, as there won't be for the Walker Cup here in 2 years' time. So you can get up close and personal and you can see what great players they are. And I think they loved it here, but in particular, Brian McDonough, who's our head greenkeeper, does a marvellous job. And the condition of the course was, everybody said it was even better than the Irish Open in 2019. And I can happily say, as I look out the window here at the first green, the course is still in magnificent condition. The rough is up. It's a little less than it was because it starts to kind of grow back from July, but it's a great challenge. Our greens are running fast. Obviously, we have to be very careful with when you get too much wind that we don't have them too fast, but they're fast and true, and it's going to be a great test this week, that's for sure.
Yes, I'm heading down myself on the Saturday, so I'm very excited to see it and hopefully not be bringing the wet gear. You hinted at the Walker Cup of 2026. Just again, talk to me about how exciting that is. It's one of the biggest amateur events in the world. It goes to courses, as I said, like St Andrews was the last one. That's the sort of echelon you're at in terms of hosting events. How excited is everyone at Lahinch for that? And is there a sense of, I suppose, is there nervousness? Is there anxiousness when it comes to hosting these events? Because obviously, as you said, you want to put your best foot forward.
Yeah, no, we're not anxious. We are greatly looking forward to it. We were thrilled that the RNA selected us. We put a lot of work into it. We decided after the Irish Open in 2019 and such a great success, that we wouldn't rush to have another Irish Open, particularly the field that was assembled by Paul McGinley. We had 14 of the world's top 50. That didn't include Martin Keimer, Lee Westwood, who were outside the world's top 50 at the time. So we had an amazing field. So we set our stall out, what would we like to do? And bearing in mind the amateur history on Lahinch, we said, let's go for a Walker Cup. So it was a lot of planning. A lot of work went into it. The tournament committee for the Walker Cup was headed by Pádraig Slattery, who's a native of Lahinch, but not only a former captain of Lahinch, but also a former captain of Mount Juliet and Portmarnock. A very experienced man in golf and with a lot of RNA contacts. So we worked diligently for 3 years and we're absolutely thrilled. And you mentioned St. Andrews. It was St. Andrews the last time here, last year at this side of the world. It's Cypress Point, widely always in the top 3 in America, often regarded as the #1 course in America. In 25, and we happen to be going only a year later in 26 because they're changing the date of the Walker Cup. They want it in even years so it won't be against the World Amateur Team Championship. So that falls very much into place for us because in Adair you've got the Ryder Cup in 27. So you don't really want to be up against a Ryder Cup 3 weeks later. So 26 for us, I think it'll be a celebration of everything in amateur golf that has gone on in Lahinch. We're only the 3rd Irish club to host it. Portmarnock in 91, Newcastle, Royal County Down in 2007, which was Rory's Walker Cup, 91 regarded as the Mickelson Walker Cup. And who knows who the big star will be here in 26. But we're greatly looking forward to it. All our friends in the RNA were over here for the Palmer Cup. The Palmer Cup hosted by the Palmer Foundation, but is supported by the RNA and USGA. So we had a big contingent from the RNA. All of the planning is advanced at this stage. We pretty much know how the whole tournament's going to look. We anticipate probably capping the numbers at 7,500 a day. But for amateur golf, which isn't much supported anymore, but a Walker Cup is different. And the uniqueness of a Walker Cup is that you can walk the fairways with the players. So it'll probably be capped at 7,500 a day. But we're very excited and we're greatly looking forward to it. As I say, the planning is well advanced and we have 2 years and a couple of months. I might also say it will heighten the south of Ireland. Next year, we expect certainly more international people to play in it, but more particularly in the Walker Cup year. Anybody who's on the cusp of getting on the Walker Cup team should play in the south of Ireland in Lahinch because famously back in 95 when Jody Flanagan won the south of Ireland and he beat his great friend Pádraig Harrington in the final, that got Jody on the Walker Cup team. He wasn't, they'd selected 8, there were 2 to be selected 4 weeks later, and Jody winning the south got him on the Walker Cup team, where famously he played with Pádraig, obviously in the foursomes, and beat Tiger Woods and all of that. So it's very important, not just for Lahinch, it's very important for the Souths going forward as we build up to 26 and the Walker Cup.
Yeah, I think you mentioned the Ryder Cup as well in 2027. I think it's a couple of years where we as Irish golf fans have to be very appreciative and kind of pinch ourselves with the events that are coming to this country, the quality of the events, quality of the golfing show, and the main thing you pointed there that I love is you can be 4 or 5 feet away from the best players in the world. You'll see the ball flight, you'll see everything up close and personal, and you just don't get that at a professional event as anymore. And it's incredible to see. And what stands out with you, John, and it seems very important to you, and I'm sure the staff at Lahinch, to understand the history of these events, to understand the weight and the importance of them as well, that they're not just any other golf tournament. These are very, very important.
Yeah, I often say to people, we're the current custodians of Lahinch, but we're only passing through. And it's terribly nice to be able to make a contribution to the history of Lahinch and to have an Irish Open, to follow up with a Palmer Cup, and now in particular to follow up with the Walker Cup is very special for Lahinch. And That's why we put our best foot forward. As I say, we're only passing through. In 100 years, hopefully Lahinch will be as strong as it is today, and its place in golf is assured anyway. But yeah, it's very thrilling for us to be able to do our very best for this old venerable links that so many people love. I mean, everybody loves Lahinch. There's another saying that people come for the golf, but they come back for the experience. It's not just the golf course, it's the village, it's everything about it. It's our caddies, it's our staff, it's the friendliness of everything that kind of makes up a unique package in Lahinch in Irish golf, similar somewhat to what St Andrews is across the water as the home of golf. But Lahinch has a uniqueness, something like that, and that contributes to the whole vibe and goodness of Lahinch and its golf and its history.
Absolutely. The South of Ireland is currently ongoing, day one. Give us your thoughts ahead of the tournament. Anyone in particular that you think will have a good week and potentially be there come the end of the tournament?
Well, it's very difficult to say. This year, I suppose, the biggest factor is we have 13 overseas players, and they're from Belgium, Denmark, Sweden, USA, and the UK, Scotland, England, and Wales. So that's more than we normally would have. Normally, we've only had 3 or 4 in recent years. So out of that, and some of these are in the world's top 100, out of that, you could have a name that nobody knows, a foreign name, and it's a long time since we've had a foreign winner. Lahinch itself, we've got 9 members. All of them don't play out of Lahinch, but we've 9 members. Jonathan Keane is probably our best, who is yet to have a good showing in Lahinch. He could do something. We've got the young players. We've got, I think, 10 of the under-18 high performance, and you pick guys like, say, Gavin Tiernan or Mark Gazzi. One of those could easily pop up in the last 4. And when you get to that stage, who knows? So it's wide open. Hugh Foley didn't defend last year because he was playing in the US as he strove for a Walker Cup place. He was playing in the US Amateur. So Hugh is back to try and win in consecutive years for him. Last year's winner, Collie Campbell, he was a slight surprise in that he's a somewhat veteran compared to the young kids. He'd been trying for, I don't know how many years. Collie had played here, maybe 15 years. So it's unpredictable. But the one thing I can say is the person who wins it will have to really perform, because everything is going to be asked of you. 36-hole stroke play for a lot of better players. They're only jockeying for position, but then you've got 6 matches, and it's an endurance test as well as everything else. So I wouldn't pick any one player. There's probably any of 20 real serious contenders, and the last man standing will be the champion on Sunday evening.
It will make for a great spectacle, and anyone who can get down definitely do, and not just witness the golf course, but witness the Golf Fun show as well. John, thank you so much. The future of Lahinch and is in great hands under yourself and your staff there. We thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule, and we appreciate you coming on, and enjoy the week.
Stephen, a pleasure. Look forward to seeing you here next Saturday.
Okay, now it is time for a news update. We will start with the professional game. Shane Lowry was the best of the Irish in Royal Troon, finishing 6th place, 5 shots behind the winner, Xander Schauffele. Padraig Harrington finished tied 22nd, Tom McKibben tied 26th, and Darren Clark tied 75th. And Rory McIlroy and Liam Nolan missed the cut, but a great few days for Liam Nolan, I'm sure. Seamus Power is the only Irish player to tee it up at the 3M Open in Minneapolis this week. One of the last tournaments to take place for the end of the season FedEx Cup playoffs. So best of luck to Seamus there. Stephanie Meadow was the lone Irish player in the field at the Dana Open, finishing tied 53rd and 1 under for the tournament. This week, the LPGA heads to Canada for the CPKC Women's Open. Both Leona Maguire and Stephanie Meadow in the field there. On the Ladies European Tour, it was a tough final day at the Dutch Ladies Open for Lauren Walsh. She carded a closing round of 80 to finish tied 66 on 7 over par. The LET takes a break until the 15th of August, returning with the Women's Scottish Open at the Dundonald Links. Nine Irish players made the trip to Austria for the Uram Bank Open in the Challenge Tour, with Dermot McIlroy finishing the best of the bunch with a tied 34th finish. Gary Hurley and Robert Moran finished tied 53rd, while Daniel Mulligan finished 65th. The Challenge Tour moves to Northern Ireland this week with the Black Desert Northern Ireland Open set to take place at Galgorm Castle Golf Club. Simon Thornton, Daniel Mulligan, Conor O'Rourke, Mark Power, John Murphy, Alex Maguire, Gary Hurley, Conor Purcell, Jonathan Caldwell, Dermot McIlroy and Ronan Mullarney all set to take on the County Antrim course. Plenty of Irish involvement there, so best of luck to everybody. On the Clutch Pro Tour, Liam Graham played his way to a tied fourth finish at Slaley Hall. The K Club golfer carried rounds of 65, 67 and 74 to finish 10 under par. John Ross Galbraith finished tied 15th. Stuart Graham finished tied 17th. Niall Carney tied 43rd. And Robert Brazel in 63rd place. Next up on the Clutch Pro Tour, it moves to Redditch with the event teeing off on Tuesday, the 30th of July. And in the PGA Tour Americas, unfortunately, it was a miscut for Paul Conroy at the Bromont Open in Canada. Paul will tee it up this week at the Commissionaries Ottawa Open once again in Canada. And now on to the amateur game. Congratulations once again to Liam Nolan for making his first appearance at the Open Championship at Royal Troon. Surely a memorable week for Liam, and hopefully plenty of memories to take home, and hopefully not the last time he plays in the event either. The Piers Motors Volkswagen State of Ireland Championship returns to Lahinch this weekend. The oldest regional golf championship in Ireland is set for 2 rounds of stroke play, qualifying, plus then 6 match play rounds to decide this year's champion, with 150 of the best amateur golfers teeing it up on the Clare coast. A very exciting week in amateur golf. The AIG Irish Women's and Girls Amateur Close Championship gets underway in Roscommon on Tuesday. 2 rounds of stroke play and 4 rounds of match play for the 80 players hoping to take home the title on Friday evening. Best luck there to everybody participating. European Young Masters, Adam Fahey, Hannah Lee McNamara and Isaac Oliver have been selected to compete at the European Young Masters in Pentati Golf Club in Slovakia this week. The team will be supported by team captain Liam Troy, lead coach Michelle Carroll and coach Corey Doherty as the Irish look to replicate the heroics of Lisa Maguire in 2008. You can follow the live scoring at ega-golf.ch. It was a pair of top 5 finishes for Ireland at the European Team Championships and European Nations Cup for golfers with a disability. Congratulations to the European Nations Cup team on a brilliant 3rd place finish, and well done also to our European Team Championship, who also claimed a 4th spot in Germany. Brilliant, fantastic, well done there to everybody involved. Harry McCardle and Kate Dillon claimed the Connacht Under-18 Boys and Girls Amateur Openship titles in Castlebar last Friday. Harry McCardle was the only player to sign for 3 under-par rounds, carrying a 68 and 2 69s on his way to an 8-shot victory. And Kate Dillon claimed the Girls' Championship, finishing level par for the tournament, 3 shots ahead of Olivia Costello in 2nd. Well done there. It was a home victory for Anna Dawson as she claimed this year's Munster Over-18 Women's Senior Championship in Tramore on Saturday last with a 4-shot victory over Deirdre Walsh. Dawson signed for a brilliant 7 under par 68, so well done there. Walsh did, however, walk away with the net championship, finishing with a net 5 under 70. So brilliant, well done there. And then finally, there was more home club success as Amelia McQuillan was crowned Connacht Under-16 Girls Open Champion in Westport on Monday. McQuillan scored 46 Stableford points, taking the title by 1 over Ayla Mooney. So well done there to Amelia. And that sums up all of the news from around the country. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. We appreciate you listening as always, and we will see you all next week for another great episode. Until then.